Admittedly, my expectations were really high. I loved the first one, and then my brother's an accountant, so I was just looking to see what his life is like, and if that's the case...
Damn! Could we discuss business now?
Go.
Do you like puzzles, Mr. Wolff? Ray King has been murdered.
So Ben Affleck, Jon Bernthal, they are back. Even J.K. Simmons along for the ride. I was missing Anna Kendrick, admittedly, but her storyline came to a close. I was also curious, Gavin O'Connor, clearly he works well with Ben Affleck. A big fan of The Way Back, by the way, severely underrated movie from that year. And Warriors, one of my favorite movies of all time. And so super pumped for this, loved the first. But one thing I loved about the first Accountant is how grounded and gritty and somewhat dark it was. It had those outlandish elements for sure, but the tone was so vastly different than the tone for this film. The sequel taking what the first did and spinning it in a completely different direction. And you're going to get the elements of the first that you like from a character perspective. You're also going to get those antics and quirks that Ben Affleck's character has here. What can I say? Affleck is spectacular in this role. Christian is a great character. And I can see the vision, right? I understand why O'Connor wanted to bring him back and create another vehicle for him. I love the way that this universe, that's what it is now, right? It's a universe, handles neurodivergent characters, not just Affleck's Christian, but beyond that, there is a group of kids in this film. And if you watch the first, you kind of know where I'm going with this, but a large group of individuals that are helping Christian accomplish his missions. But I really love how we keep going back to that. And we don't learn about these characters individually, but from a consensus standpoint, I just really like what they are doing with those characters in this movie. And then Jon Bernthal coming back into the picture as his brother, even bringing that up in conversation, just the back and forth, the dynamic between the two. That is what drives this movie. Okay, you are not watching The Accountant 2 for the story or the mystery or what we're dealing with in the beginning here with J.K. Simmons' character and kind of the path that he sets our two characters on that isn't even technically fully resolved. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you are in this for the plot, unlike even the first movie, which I thought had an interesting plot, you are going to be disappointed. Because the mystery element to it and all of the different story points and plot threads that it is attempting to tie together, it does not do a great job of. Now, by the end, you're going to get some satisfaction out of the outcome. Okay, that is a guarantee. It does a nice job of pulling on the heartstrings, but ultimately, it wanted to have a more significant emotional impact than it actually did, because all throughout this movie, there are drastic tonal shifts that will have you sitting back going, I don't know if that flows. I don't know if that works as well as our director, Gavin O'Connor, who again, I think is a great director, intends. And it did manage to take me out of the story every now and then, because it feels like every time I got really caught up in this thread of mysteries, and we're dealing with something here involving children that kind of speaks to the heart. It will speak to the heart of many, but me specifically, I like when movies handle this type of thing and do it justice. Ultimately, they do. See what I did there? They do it justice, but if you go back and you start to look at all of the twists and turns, you're like, yeah, they left out like 5 or 6 things here. And there were so many times where I'm like, why are they introducing another character? There is someone here, I will say a female character, who we kind of keep going back to. And I understand why, but for me, it did feel like a distraction for our ultimate goal. But again, Gavin O'Connor's kind of pulling me in here. I'm a sucker. I love a story dealing with going after the people that are attacking the kids. That kind of speaks to me. But also, just a good buddy cop movie. A good 90s feeling buddy cop, oftentimes cracking a joke or two in there. Again, so totally different from the first movie. It's not even funny. This almost feels like a different universe, even though the consistencies within the characters make a lot of sense. But man, it is a full-on buddy cop movie the second Jon Bernthal shows up. And there are a couple of scenes with him individually that I thought were pretty funny, but really it's when we get together and these two together on screen. I could watch 12 episodes of these two going back and forth because I love I'm a sucker for a good brotherly relationship, and Gavin O'Connor does that so well. I go back to a movie like Warrior, different tone than this film, but does it extremely well. And I just love the moments where they're getting to not even go on this mission, which is important, but relax. I mean, there's one point where they go to a bar and Affleck's character's kind of getting hit on by a girl. And it's funny because at the beginning of this film, there is a literal sequence where Christian's like doing a bunch of blind dates and he rigged the system to set up some of these dates. But ultimately, some of the women are like, yeah, this is interesting. That was really funny, right? But it immediately tells you that this sequel is going to be so different from The First Accountant. And if you didn't love The First Accountant, that's going to speak to you. But if you're like me and you liked that grounded and gritty tone, and then you're kind of doing a 180 here with something that is so different, and one, that lowers the stakes when something intense like that does happen, but two, it kind of lowered my enthusiasm. I'm like, man, you're really taking away from these hard-hitting moments. I mean, there's a big montage at the end of the film, and it's supposed to be really hard-hitting, and I don't know if I felt that. I was enjoying the journey, for sure, because I love these two on screen, and we end this film off with this giant, unrealistic action sequence, which I think this movie felt like it had to have, wasn't necessary, but it was fun nonetheless. But then you try to cap it off with a bunch of emotions, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I like the brother stuff, but everybody else here is, yeah.
I mean, it's all right.
It's messy. There's a lot going on. The script is very convoluted. I still think Gavin O'Connor does a great job at directing this film, because even with all of these issues and inconsistencies, he still makes a rousing and entertaining movie with two awesome leads and a dynamic that is so much fun to watch, and Bernthal's just Bernthaling it up. I mean, it could almost be Punisher, but it's a little bit different. I think the question of the day is, do you prefer Accountant 1 or 2? What tone do you like better? The movie that's a bit more fun, or the one that's more grounded and gritty? And were you looking forward to this? Do you like Ben Affleck? If you want to comment on this video or share it, that would be awesome. The Accountant 2 is so tonally different from its predecessor, yet there's just as much heart and plenty of action to suffice. While I prefer the more grounded and gritty feel of the first, there's a lot to latch on to here. The brothers have top-tier chemistry, the action is legit, and this sequel is surprisingly hilarious at times. The story is all over the place and sets up way too much for its own good, but fans of Affleck's Christian will get everything they are looking for. Definitely a movie that highlights its characters and has rock-solid direction. I just think the script will ultimately be the downfall for some people. But fun is fun, right? Did you have fun? Are you having fun right now? Probably not, if you're watching this video. All right, plenty of movies to talk about this weekend. I'm going to go finish the new season of You for a review.